5 generations, 150 years of soap making excellence is what we're talking about here, okay? Now, the thing I like about Mr. Bronner, all right, whose parents were killed in the Holocaust, and, he was over there in Germany in the day, and he told his parents when he decided to leave, hey, come on, man, you gotta leave, because he felt and knew what the Nazis were gonna do, and the last he ever heard from his parents was that, they sent him a postcard, and his father said, son, you were right. Now, he was born in Germany, Mr. Bronner, Emanuel H. Bronner, and that wasn't his real name. His real name was Heilbronn. Okay, and what I like about this cat right here is that, they use hemp in their soaps, and the labels are actually printed, which I think is really cool, with hemp seed ink. All right? Just a side note, I'm into the hemp thing, folks. But anyway, bear with me. This is a very interesting story because what I'm about to read you here is quite startling. All right? So he immigrated to the States in 1929. He dropped the Hale from his name, and he, basically became Bronner. All right? And started making his Castle soaps. And he's got all these weird quotes on there. And let me tell you something. He calls them his all one God faith and the moral ABCs. And it's very interesting to say that they became famous, And in 1947, while promoting his moral ABCs at the University of Chicago, he was arrested and committed to an insane asylum. And he escaped after they gave him electrical shock treatments. Now, here's a letter that this cat wrote. All right, folks, I found it astounding. Bear with me, folks, because this is a little lengthy, but I think if you hear me out, you're going to be, understanding why I took the time to read this. Bronner was also, if you didn't know, a nephew of the great Albert Einstein, all right? And he wrote the following letter printed in the Catholic Mirror, Springfield, Massachusetts, January 1952. He says, it appears the citizens of Massachusetts are among the next on the agenda of the water poisoners, all right? Side note, Massachusetts is one of the most socialist states in the Union, folks, just so you know that. So it couldn't have anything to do with the dumbing down of people, could it? No. All right? So also, mandatory health care, and if you don't pay it, you got to, pay a fine. The tragic success they have already attained in their long siege to destroy the moral fiber of American life is now one of their most potent footholds towards their own ultimate victory over us. Fluoridation of our community water systems can well become the most subtle weapon for our sure physical and mental deterioration. As a research chemist in established standing, I built within the past 22 years, he says, 3 American chemical plants, all right, and licensed 6 of my 53 patents. Based on my years of practical experience in the health, food, and chemical field, let me warn, fluoridation of drinking water is criminal and it's insanity, is what he says. Sure, national suicide is what he says. Don't do it. Even in very small quantities, sodium fluoride is already a deadly poison, which there's no effective antidote can be found. And it goes on and on and on and on. And he says that any so-called doctors would persuade a civilized nation to add voluntarily a deadly poison to its drinking water system is unbelievable. It's the height of criminal insanity. No wonder Hitler and Stalin, I love this right here, fully believed and agreed in 1939 and 41 that, quoting from both Lenin's last will and Hitler's Mein Kampf, America, we shall demoralize, divide, and destroy from within. If you don't see it happening, you're crazy. Fluoridation of water system is a slow national suicide or a quick national liquidation. It is criminal insanity. He calls it treason. Now, Buzzy Zipwhack, I know you've got another serious letter that was written back in the day when fluoridation was an issue. People just don't even seem to think about it anymore. You want to roll that one by people?
Yeah, no, it's quite astounding because, just to be fair, we checked out, the ADA website and even Child's Health website, and they're all talking about how great fluoride is for your health or for your teeth, but it's always referring to it as a topical treatment.
Like the drug war, We have to have a DARE program for the kids. We can't legalize it. What will the children think? Bullcorn! Now it's, again, they're just using the children, They think we are a bunch of meatballs?
They always go after the children and the old people first.
Well, that's the excuse. To protect our children, we have to imprison you all.
Yeah.
Is what it really boils down to. But, who polices the police? I mean, we've talked about corrupt cop stories many times, especially when we did the radio program at Southern. or Central, you know, and it's just too tempting as far as that part, you know, regarding the lucrative money and drugs available and how they're smuggling them all in and all that. But
Roll with the cuz.
that's a different story. All right, this letter, the following letter was received by Lee Foundation for Nutritional Research, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, on September 2nd, 1954, from a research chemist by the name of Charles Perkins. He writes, I have your letter of September 29th asking for further documentation regarding a statement made in my book, The Truth About Water Fluoridation, to the effect that the idea of water fluoridation was brought to England from Russia by the Russian communist Kremenov in the 1930s. Hitler and the German Nazis envisioned a world to be dominated and controlled by a Nazi philosophy of pan-Germanism. The German chemists worked out a very ingenious and far-reaching plan of mass control, which was submitted to and adopted by the German General Staff. This plan was to control the population in every given area through mass medication of drinking water supplies. By this method, they could control the population of whole areas, reducing population by water medication and what would produce sterility in women and so on. In this scheme of mass control, sodium fluoride occupied a prominent place. We talked about that a few times. Repeated doses of infinitesimal amounts of fluoride will in time reduce an individual's power to resist domination.
And infinitesimal means tiny, tiny bit. Georgia Guidestone!
Yeah, absolutely is. Absolutely. Maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual harmony with nature. That means 95% of us have to die.
Oh, is it already happened? It's a slow death. You like it? You enjoying it? Ah, it kills me, man. I have this friend, man. He works at the club where I'm at. The dude did 3 tours in Vietnam, and he drinks aspartame till no end. Granted, we're all gonna die from something, but you know, it's like I gave him
Why
sweet
push
misery.
it?
I gave him sweet misery, and he's like, you know, come on, 3 tours in Vietnam, you know, and here he is. You know, we're gonna die from something. And I gave him sweet misery. And people just don't change. What's your problem? Snap out of that frickin'. You're hypnotized. Can't you tell it? My God, you've been propagating
That's right.
propaganda.
You know,
Some
if he
people-
wants to, you know, that's fine. If you're
I
making
know,
the
but it
informed
kills
decision.
me. It kills me when I'm there serving them. You know, I say every time I serve up an aspartame, I'm like, sweet misery, here you go.
That's right. Some people like Mayberry.
Yeah, they love it.
Figures he
Love
did his time already, maybe.
it. Good Lord Almighty.
Well, you know, at least to make an informed decision, folks. That's why we're here, to educate ourselves and those around us, so we don't have to tolerate in those politicians what we don't tolerate in our friends and family. And I'm definitely getting sick and tired of being lied to all the damn time.
What else that man
All
had
right.
to say? Because that's a good freaking letter.
To continue, by slowly poisoning and narcotizing a certain area of the brain, thus making him submissive to the will of those who wish to
You said narcoticizing the brain. In other words, over a long time, it works as a narcotic.
It dulls the senses down to the point where you probably just go with the flow.
And the FDA approved that?
Of course.
Oh, jeez, beef.
This making him which to govern him. The real reason behind water fluoridation is not to benefit children's teeth. If this were the real reason, there are many ways in which it could be done that are much easier, cheaper, and far more effective. The real purpose behind water fluoridation is to reduce the resistance of the masses to domination, control, and loss of liberty.
Oh, imagine that. That ain't going on in this country. There ain't no
No,
pan-Germanism affecting this country. Hey, by the way there. Hey,
You could verify that in the 2002 Journal of Neurotoxicology, and also the 2004 study in the Journal of Toxicology, Neurotoxicology.
Yeah, Phyllis.
Kills rat brains.
Oh, what's her last name? Melanix. You know, her name was mentioned very briefly in the fluoride deception, but you know, she discovered new technology, or she invented new technology and ways to measure the effects of different chemicals on tissue, and then did an intensive study on fluoride and realized, you know, she thought that it would be very easy to disprove any of these harmful claims, and assume that, you know, like her test rats could easily handle 175 parts per million of fluoridated water without showing any harmful side effects. She was wrong. In every aspect, she was completely wrong.
hey, brothers, we got less than 5 minutes. Let's give them a barrage of things that fluoride is in today that, you know, folks, you can't escape it. That's the problem. It's in everything.
Well, something
It's
I
in
really
Ritalin,
want
it's
to
in your
bring up
pharmaceuticals. We'll make it quick because I got a lot of things.
is
so make
about
it
the pea-sized amount of toothpaste that if you swallow that amount,
There it is.
you know, it has contact poison control, Center for Poison Control Center,
Poison Control
contact
Center.
them. If you ingest or swallow 8 milligrams of fluoride or less, well, how much fluoride is in 8 ounces of?
Yep. It says keep out of reach children under 6 years of age. If more than used for brushing is accidentally swallowed, get medical help or contact the Poison Control Center right away. Get rid of your fluoride toothpaste, people.
Yeah, it's in your water, New Britain Water Supply.
Freaking
Contact
every time.
them, they have it. It's
know, but they-
1.12 parts per million.
Yeah.
It's more than
There's a
toothpaste.
point I wanted to make that I wanted to make in the last time we talked about fluoride. Wine in your California wines. Now, people, I mentioned that, you know, if you go on Fluoride Alert, they will be able to show you quite clearly that Western Europe, most of Europe over there, they are smart enough not to put medicine in their water because, you know what? Why should you be putting medicine in your water? They don't want a medicine in their water. So if you're drinking wine, all right, I forget the name of the. Damn, where is my paperwork? Oh, man. Crap on a stick, people.
While you're doing that, you know, it also affects your thyroid gland. How many guys do you know in their 40s that are on Synthroid?
I am.
Talk to anyone who was in the Navy in the 50s. They had water tanks on subs and boats. They all have thyroid problems or their thyroid's removed or a thyroid tumor. And it also leads to osteoporosis. So it times perfectly, if you notice in the late 80s, early 90s, a lot of arthritis or so-called arthritis, and it would be about that long, you know, to have the fluoride in the water system to have it start showing up. So it's in there with your aspartame in your soda too, because you can't get this out of the water once it's in.
That's why you got to distill it. You can.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very hard.
Carbon
Need to tr-
filters.
You need to treat it. Yep.
Now, I forget the name of the pesticide that they use out in California in your wines, but the parts per million.
Chirolite.
Chirolite, yes, it's a fluoride derivative in there, folks. All right, 7 parts per million is what our country allows. All right, over in the EU in the 90s it was 3 parts per million. Now it's 1 part per million. So you can see that the devastation that has on the ability for our wineries to export their wines, because the Germans or West Europe will not accept them.
Yeah.
Now, folks, here you are drinking your wines, all of your sodas, all of your juices.
Anything that's made with water.
They are putting the fluoride in
It's
there.
everything,
So,
anything
folks,
ingestible.
it's time to get on your knees and do some prayer and see what your Creator can do for you, because we are in a hellacious situation, but we are here because there are no problems. There are only solutions. We're caring enough to confront the issues. Now we're winding down the show. We got a couple minutes left here.
Yeah, it brings your sperm count too. Not only does it,
Population
bring
control.
down your IQ, might have something to do with the No Child Left Behind. What are they really talking about there?
George
And everybody,
Guidestones.
middle American in their 30s or so, they have to spend 10 or 20 grand to go on a fertility program.
It's in
They
all of
have
your
kids.
medications for psychological problems,
Yep.
So you already have problems. And what they do,
Autism.
kick a man when he's down. That's what they do, folks, I mean, what happens when you see people suffer? When people suffer and people that are around them suffer, then everybody's suffering. That's what they're bringing. They're debilitating our country from within, just like I said, what Hitler and Stalin had planned for this country. If you don't believe it, stick your head up your butt and keep walking around. You might end up in prison. You might end up being an outlaw. But until then, you will be subservient. My goodness. Well, folks, all I can say, it's been good to be here. Tune in next week. We're going to be talking about, Mercury and a few other subjects that, whatever we decide to rant about. Chief Footnote, my
Hey,
brother.
thanks. Good seeing you.
Silly
Buzzy
Willy.
Zipwhack. Fine people in the studio helping us out here. Nutmeg TV. Until next time, people, stop your bitching, start a revolution, mean it and do it. All right.
Freedom's not free.
That's right. Peace out.
This is a test of the emergency bong hit system. This is only a test.
Fire is bad as hell, and I'm not trying to take this anymore.
This is a test of the emergency bong hit system. The bong hitters in your area, in voluntary defiance of federal, state, and local authorities, have developed this system to keep you informed in the event of a bong hit emergency. If this had been an actual emergency, the attention signal you just heard would have been followed by official supply information, police scanner news, and emergency bong hitting instructions. This concludes this test of the emergency bong hit system.
Quit playing games with God.
Wake up, America.